Okay, so this is my video on how to actually install the WifiRanger on your travel trailer or motorhome, whatever it may be. Because in all the videos I saw, they never actually show you the installation. They never actually show you how you're going to get through a roof, run the wiring, do whatever. Now, they tell you, go through an existing refrigerator vent or some other vent. Very hard to do. Once you get the wire inside, how are you going to hide it? How are you going to hide it along your ceiling? I mean, if you just want to tack it to your ceiling and let it be exposed, that's one thing. But of course, I didn't want to see the wire. I don't want to see the Ethernet wire. I want it to be hidden away, out of sight. So I started looking at my options. Now, the other thing they tell you is just attach it to your Batwing. Well, I had some trouble there, some experiences there. So want to make sure I put that out just as a tidbit of information to everybody. I'm not a professional. I don't do this full time. I'm just a do-it-yourself, have some experience being an Air Force structural mechanic. So wanted to just get this out. I'll take the camera up now, show the Wi-Fi, how I attach it to my Batwing, and some of the challenges I ran into there. Okay, so here it is attached to the my Batwing antenna, and you can see I actually purchased the high gain antenna. Yours might not have, might just have the regular tip to the antenna up there. It didn't attach so easily. The brackets they give you are okay, but it's difficult to make it work. It was difficult to get a ratchet inside that housing where the antenna is, and I'll show when I get closer, because they put this this putty around it to weather seal, which I get, but when you try to put a ratchet on, it just ended up ratcheting around my my ratchet, so I had to take the putty off, try to put it back on. It's still not fully on right. I'll have to go back and muck with that. So you get it on okay and you think you're good. Well, when you start to wind your bat antenna down, that's when I ran into issues. So let me get closer and show that. Okay, so right here, if you can tell, I don't know how well you can tell in the video, but I actually had to bend this part of the antenna housing. I had to bend it in because the only way to get this to lay down, you can see up here, get the camera right there, when I started to lay it down, this corner started to actually bend out this way and started nicking this, and then eventually caught the housing of the antenna here and separated it before I realized that I was having any issues with winding it down. So I again had real trouble with actually even undoing these bolts. Ran into the putty here, wrapping around my thing again, about my ratchet. So because I wanted to undo it and just move it down some, that didn't work, just moving it down. Couldn't move it down much more because I want the antenna raised well above there. So I left it here and just figured, look, this is just for show. This isn't actually anything part of the functionality of the antenna. It's just a housing. So I actually bent it in, and now my Batwing will start to lay down. So I'm gonna have one of the boys here wind it down and show you how it actually lays flat. All right, so here we go. We're gonna have we'll have my son wind it down. Go slow. Keep going, keep going. All right, stop. All right, now let's see here if I can show this real well. Now, once I got past the housing here, then my next issue was I was actually hitting the antenna itself with the housing of the Wi-Fi antenna. So that's another reason why I had to bend it in, because I got past this by moving the antenna down on the pole, but then the housing from the Wi-Fi was still interfering with this. So that's when I finally decided, screw it, I'm just bending this in. All right, continue. Down. Alright, so there it is. You can see it's fully laid down. Nice and neat. Let me try to get this angle. Okay. Lays down nice and neat, nice and flat. Shouldn't be any issue during transportation. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm taking the wire, and I'll go over there in a minute and show. I just put in that vent. And it looks like a plumbing vent, but all it does is vent right into my entertainment area. And I'll show you how I did that. I'm taking every precaution I can to make that waterproof and weatherproof. But I'm going to run my Ethernet right over there, right down that conduit, and then I have this Eternabond tape. So I'm going to use the Eternabond tape to go over this Ethernet antenna or Ethernet cable and keep it flush to the roof, and hopefully never have an issue with that. Okay, so let me take you inside and show you the hole I did inside. Okay, again, so when they tell you to bring the Ethernet cable inside, they never really give you any good way to do that. They just say run it down a refrigerator vent, an existing vent, whatever. But what are you going to do about your roof? These aren't like residential roofs where you can just, kind of know where the beams are. Maybe you take down some sheetrock and you run it through, or you cut a hole in 2 spots and you snake it through and you bring it out. You can't do that in these things, nor would you want to, right? So what I figured is, I have my entertainment center and I have existing openings for wiring to come through and stuff like that, your existing cable and all. So I figured what I might as well do is, in this cabinet here that's open, I might as well go right through the roof, bring that Ethernet cable down, snake it down this right side of the entertainment area inside, bring it through into my main TV area, and put my Wi-Fi broadcast or Wi-Fi access point there, and be done with that. So to start out, what I figured I'd do is make that location in the cabinet here. If I can get this up and show. And I figured what I would do if I don't know if I'm getting that actually. There's the hole. Is I would first, that's my ceiling inside the cabinet. I'd first use like a number 40, a small drill bit, a long drill bit, and just slowly go through, ensuring that I don't hit any wiring or existing cables. So I went real slow, knew that I wasn't hitting anything, didn't feel it snag on anything, and then right out through the roof. So that was my kind of my guide hole. Then I went up on the outside, and I'll take you out there in a minute. I went up on the outside and I used a 2-inch hole saw. Now 2 inches because I'm using 1.5 PVC, and I'm using 1.5 PVC because that's the size that fits the vent that I bought, the plumbing vent. So I needed 1.5 inch PVC for the plumbing vent, which meant that I needed a 2-inch hole to bring that through. So I started on the outside, drilled through, again, just real slowly till I felt myself get through the top layer. Once I got through the top layer, I was able to separate or move the insulation away a little bit, and sure enough, there was a cable. It must have been the cable, my cable, RG6 cable that goes to my TV for the master bedroom, which is on the other side of this box here. So I moved that out of the way, and then I came back on the inside, used a 2-inch hole saw from this side, just broke through, and now I had a nice clean opening, cable pushed out of the way, was able to drop my 1.5 inch conduit in there. And from this side, what I'm going to do is, since it's inside the cabinet, way up there, snug out of the way, I'm just going to use one of these circular electric plates. And you can see I just drilled a 3/4 inch hole through the middle so I can get my Ethernet cable through there. And I'm just going to use this on the inside. I'm going to cover this hole. Let me take it back in here. I'm going to cover this hole here with this. And that's going to be my my plate kind of cover for that. And then I'll bring the wiring through. Once I bring the wiring through, then I'm going to, let me turn it this way. Once I bring the wiring through, then I'll, from the outside, I'm going to use some duct seal on the top of that PVC pipe inside it, because I don't intend to really use the conduit again. I might have to if I can. That duct seal will come out easily. And then From the inside, I'll probably use some of the window, door and window and door expanding sealant. So I'll just spray some in there, let that expand. That stuff isn't like the other stuff that really expands and could actually, you know, bust something apart. So I'll just kind of use that. That should kind of seal that up and prevent any weather or bug issues from coming there. All right, let me take you up outside and show you the vent from the outside and how I did that. All right, so there you can see my conduit. I'm trying to get the shadows out of the way here. Should probably film this later. But there you see my conduit. What I did, again, from the outside, I drilled a 2-inch hole down, and that was good enough to get my PVC through. And then I cleaned up the outside of the hole, just using some mineral spirits, just cleaned up the rubber, made sure it was free of any debris, any kind of oils or things like that that might prevent the butyl tape from, you know, really sticking nicely. Got my pipe cut down to the length that I want, because what I want is, I want it to be almost as to the top of the cap as it can be. I just want it to be enough that what I'm going to do is, here's my Ethernet, and I'm going to drop it down in there. Okay, and then let me get my cap. Okay, sorry for the jiggly, but get my cap. My cap will go on like this. My cap will snap on there, and my Ethernet is in there. And like I said, I'm going to use some duct seal in there, seal that all up. On the outside here, now you could do whatever you want. I mean, they say to use that lap seal. If you're a lap seal person, you can use lap seal. I have that microbond tape, so my plan is I'm going to cut microbond tape to fit this circular pattern, and I'm going to use the micro seal tape to adhere this and keep this down and seal this tight, and that'll be good and weather tight. And there you have it. There is a good installation that I think is very weatherproof. It's no different than that vent down there. There's a plumbing vent down there. What I'm doing is no different here, except that I'm not actually venting any plumbing gases or, you know, any kind of gray or black tank stuff. I'm just creating a conduit so that I can get wiring down there from the roof when I need it into a good spot inside. If you have any questions, comments, please, you know, let me know. Again, I'm not a professional, just doing this to try to give some information out there, and so don't knock me too hard for it. All right, thanks. I know I said I was done, but there's just a quick peek at, there's the cap finished on. You can kind of see in there, it's packed with that putty. So what I'm trying to avoid is rainwater or, you know, being windy or something splashing up in there and eventually ending up down that conduit. So the conduit itself is packed with putty, duct seal. Around it is packed with putty. Underneath that plumbing vent, around the PVC to the roof is packed with putty. And then there's butyl tape underneath, and then I'm still gonna put the Eternabond over this rim. You can see I have the Eternabond tape running along the roof there, keeping that Ethernet cable down. So that's one more look at kind of the finished product. Okay, one more look. This is my final update. This is the way I did it. You know, I could have made it look more pretty. Tried to, you know, circle this out. I figured, who cares? Nobody's going to see it unless they're up here. And even at that point, I don't care, because all this is doing is providing, you know, more coverage and more cover of the rubber, even the rubber roofing. So who cares? But I did cut it out around, make it fit nice and flush. Overlapped it, pressed it. That's what activates this micro sealant tape. So it's sealed there. I'm not worried about this edge. I'm really not. I don't think any water's getting under, and I've got layers of protecting. So you get this Eternabond tape on top. You got the housing itself You've got the putty tape, and then I have the duct seal underneath around the PVC. So I know it's hard to see with the sun. I'm not a photojournalist. This putty I used just to, I had to cut the tape just for that Ethernet cable coming up and underneath this cap. So I used the putty just to try to, the tape wrapped under, had an okay seal, but I just thought, you know, let me just throw that putty up there just to cover that wire and just try to prevent any water sneaking into that cut I had to make. So that's it. That is one sealed conduit, Ethernet cable running from my WifiRanger high gain antenna, and that completes the outside portion of it. I am now done outside here.